Albert Einstein once observed that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another.
Hi, and welcome to the Satori Show with your host, Amy Satori, your intuitive spiritual counselor. Amy's work centers around the energy that is in everything and everywhere. Her rare ability is to identify the energy from any source, and with the help of her guides on the other side, provides an incredibly accurate assessment of what's really going on, albeit with people living or past, pets, the human body, and her specialty, twin flame relationships. And now we're proud to announce that the show is live at the Lighthouse Bookstore every Sunday night from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So you can talk to Amy and see for yourself just how special her abilities really are. Just call 256-291-1191. So now sit back and join me, Kevin McDonald, as we present this episode of The Satori Show. And welcome to The Satori Show, everybody. My name is Kevin McDonald, and you're listening to, well, you're not listening to her yet, but you're going to listen to her right now. Hi, Amy. How are you? I wish I could just get the opening straight. That would be just, if I could just do it straight, that would be nice.
You know, I love that you make me laugh every time. I love it. So yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Good. And we talk about twin flames a lot on these here shows, and the reason that we do is because you keep getting messages from places, and then you post them on Instagram, and you actually did a card spread on Instagram. But first, before we go there, I want to let everybody know that you can follow us along by going to thesatorishow.com, brand new website, just got up, and you can look at all the information that's there. Go to amysatori.com and book a session with her. Go to the resources page, learn all about that. And remember that on Sunday nights, we are live at the Lighthouse Bookstore in Boulder, Colorado from 5:30 Pacific and 6:30 Mountain to about 8:30. And you can always call in and talk to Amy live at that very moment. And we've been getting more and more callers, and it's been great fun to talk to people about their twin flame journey and also other questions that they have. In one of our recent shows, somebody had wanted to talk to somebody who'd passed on, and Amy is very gifted. She's a very gifted medium and is able to do that for you as well. If you have a dog or a cat or an animal that's got a problem, she can help you with that too. So she can do all of that. So we're glad that you're here. I hope that you'll stay with us. But I wanted to call Amy's attention to a post that she recently did on Instagram. First of all, Amy, what is your Instagram account?
It's instagram.com/Amy Satori. And I post things fairly regularly on there. Some of it is just the typical inspirational post that everybody gets. But it's usually relevant at that time. And I try to keep it really current as to what's going on for the collective. So, I try to keep it relevant for the moment.
So this Instagram post that I'm talking about here, you did a card spread. Explain how you did the card spread. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, that happens kind of randomly whenever it does. It's like I just feel I might get the word in my mind, collective, and I'll say, oh, we're doing a collective reading, or I might get masculine, and so I'll say, okay, and I'll pull some cards, and I do readings at the Lighthouse Thursday through Saturdays from 11:30 to 7:30, and I usually use my intuition when somebody comes to ask me questions, but I also have cards available to me, and as my guides tell me to grab cards, then I do, if they do. And so in this particular instance, they told me collective. And so I felt like pulling all these little angel cards that I have in a little bowl, like randomly through when I'm doing these readings, I'll say, oh, they just told me to have you pick a card. So they'll mix all the little cards up, and then they'll pull a card, and it'll pertain to the situation or give further clarity. So it's pretty cool. And I don't usually use the cards myself, but it was kind of cool because they were like, use the cards. And I got humor, power, communication, freedom, resilience, balance, purpose, and honesty. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is like totally spot on for what I'm seeing is going on for the collective right now. And then I thought, well, I'll pull 2 cards for the collective, 2 tarot cards, and see what those say. And it was the Star and Strength. And I thought, oh my gosh, so perfect. So I just spread them out all nice and tidy with a couple of crystals and took a picture and put it on Instagram. And then I tuned in to the energy of what was before me and came up with a paragraph, a synopsis of where the collective is at this moment. And I can read it to you right now.
That'd be awesome.
The twin flames, the twin flames currently in separation are about to join forces and step into their power together. They're gathering up the strength to be resilient and find a reciprocated balance in this connection because the power and purpose between their connection has been an unshakable force. They know they will find freedom from the burden of separation once they get honest and communicate with lighthearted humor and forgiveness. They know they have a very bright future up ahead and that their wishes have been granted despite disappointments of the past. It's Christmas Eve, and they know when they wake up in the morning, they will get to open up all kinds of unexpected gifts, as well as some things they've been hoping for a long time. So go to sleep, little ones, and dream of tomorrow, for tomorrow will come as soon as you close your eyes. Isn't that sweet?
Wow, you wrote that?
All by my lonesome.
You're pretty you're pretty
well,
darn
me
talented.
And all my hundreds of guides.
All the folks that are
I can't
interested
take total
in
credit.
Well, no, and but that's what you do. You are open to the process of working with these folks, and they are working to raise the vibration of the planet and to raise each of our vibrations so that we can truly live the lives that we were meant to live. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get these things, do you automatically just write them down? Do you ever doubt that what you're getting is real?
No, because I see so much evidence and proof of it all around me. It's
give us an example.
Well, I do all these readings all the time, like 10 a day. And so I'm talking to all these couples, and I'm talking to masculines and feminines, and so I'm hearing both sides of it, and I'm talking to couples who've come into union. So putting it all together, and when I pull cards like these, I'm like, I know exactly what's going on. So it's kind of, I'm getting really good at summarizing the feel of all of it. And I also watch collective readings on YouTube as well, and I see a lot of confirmation there. And I'm doing all these different spreads for people using tarot that also confirm. Like, for those who watch the collective readings on YouTube, they know as well as I do how this works, because there seems to be a theme that goes on all the time. And if you do your own spread for your own twin flame, you'll see the same cards that are in your spread show up in the collective reading too. So it's like probably 5,000 to 10,000 people on the same wave at any given time going through the same thing. It's so incredible. And now that we're starting to see a lot more people coming forward that are on like the next wave. So they've just met their twin or are just figuring out who that is, and they have gone into separation. And so it's kind of neat to see that, because it means that the wave that we're on now is coming to a close. So something has to come to a close for something else to begin. And as one wave crashes, the other wave starts to build momentum. And that's what I see happening right now, is the wave for a lot of the people who are meant to get together at this time and who've gone through separation for probably at least a year or more, are coming into union. But I mean, that's really variable depending on how mature the couple is. So, yeah, that's where I get the information. What I love to see when I do these readings is that I use my intuition first, and I tell them where I feel they are at, and then I do a spread, and the spread says everything that I just said. So it really gives them like double confirmation. And then if I need to, I might use a pendulum to confirm even more. And yet again, it says the same thing. So, I don't really doubt any of it. It's yeah, go ahead.
I still want to follow you around with a camera for a whole day, and just to see what happens in your life, because it truly is magical. I've got some questions from some listeners here and some comments I'd like to read for you so that you can read into their situation if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, and this is with a little what do you call it? Emoji, a frowny face, and this is Janet, and she says, "I don't see it happening for me."
Well, the first thing I would say is that words are spells. That's why it's called spelling when you use words. So be very careful about what you are saying or writing or thinking. On this journey, we are challenged to become masters of our thought. We put out what we will get back, or we get back what we have put out. So I would definitely say you're probably not going to see proof and evidence of it until you start looking for it and start believing more. But let me tune into your situation for a moment and see just how dire and hopeless this truly is for you. Hang on just a moment. No, there's definitely somebody coming in. I don't think you've met him yet, but he seems to be watching you. It looks like he knows you. Or maybe you have met him, but you haven't really talked or something. He might work with you. But what I'm seeing is I'm picturing you standing in front of me, facing me. And I see him like to my right, facing you, like he's been watching you, wanting to ask you to dance. I think he's shy. It feels like that this kind of strikes him as odd, because I think what he does for a living is very strong and confident. And I think what he does for his job, he's very, very good at. And he's not used to feeling so uncomfortable and shy. He's used to just, knowing what he wants and saying it and stating it and doing something about it. You make him feel like I'm picturing Dumb and Dumber. Like you make him feel like a little schoolgirl. So, I don't think it's over for you, girl. Sorry. Sorry to disappoint your vision. You may be feeling pessimistic about that, but snap out of it, because you don't want to stay in that feeling anyway. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't do you any good. And it just keeps you, whenever you're stuck in kind of a victim mentality and kind of moping around like Eeyore, it's fine temporarily, but to stay there, it just keeps you kind of stuck and keeps you in quicksand. And you do definitely have a guy coming in, but your happiness needs to not be based on whether or not that happened either. So that's kind of your goal right now, is to feel like to gain some ground in your own life in what you feel passionate about, because it does kind of feel like you're in a stagnant energy. I'm looking in your environment, and it's like you need to break out and do some new things. You need to go out and get out in nature more and go on some walks and go on some adventures and go on some road trips, or do, mix it up and do some fun things, because it feels like you've been at home too much. And you're kind of waiting around for somebody to come along and for you to get happy when that happens, and that it just doesn't work that way. So part of this grand twin flame adventure is really learning how to get in your element, step into your power as an individual, and then you come together, both of you, like just enhancing each other's lives with whipped cream and a cherry on top. So,
that sounds yummy.
It is yummy.
Okay, and to continue, Amber writes, mine's in a karmic relationship.
That's it?
Yep. That's,
okay.
It's like some of the folks that come in to say, okay, I don't know why I'm here. I just felt driven to come here, so impress the hell out of me now.
Well, it's really funny. It's really funny as I get this image. I think I've used this before, but it's like he has a karmic. Is like, okay, great. You've just told me he's in the car wash. So just wait outside the car wash for him to get done. She's in there washing him up. Wash, 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 wash. Struggle, struggle, struggle. And so he is going to come out of the wash clean and new.
Are they any good? I mean, is it just a pain in the rear end, or is there good things that come from it?
Well, they are definitely a pain in the butt for their divine feminine. At least you've used it as that. But no, they are valuable because they get him ready. Him, her, whoever the divine masculine is. The karmics, thank God, put them through a lot of stuff that they're then kind of groomed to be able to handle you better. They become better communicators. They realize they don't want to argue. They'd rather have harmony. So they would rather work it out in a more mature conversation. They realize they want something deeper than they have with their karmic. A lot of times the karmic represents their past, whereas the divine feminine represents their future. So they have to face whether they want to stay stuck in the past and they want to stay in their old belief system or their old ways or their old addictions or their old everything that feels familiar to and comfortable to them, or do they want to branch out and they're like at that crossroads while they're with the karmic. They get to work out like being at that crossroads and do I want what represents the big unknown in my future, or do I stay with my little blankie? And and they genuinely fall in love with these karmics sometimes, and it's not like they're just kind of wasting time with somebody they're ready to throw away. A lot of these relationships they do feel really close to, which is important, because if you're not invested in something, you're not going to learn the most from it. You're just going to just cast it aside and it's not going to have as much meaning for you. But the fact that they invested their feelings in it made them work. And that work was what was needed for them to be ready for you. So be grateful for the karmic, because a lot of the things they work out together, you're not going to have to go through with your divine counterpart when you guys come into union, or at least it's going to make it a lot easier when you guys come together. So karmics are a good thing. They really make the divine feminines face a lot of things within themselves too. They think things like, well, he was just in a relationship. Is he going to want to be with me? Is he going to want to jump into something like right after that? Well, he's made a public statement about being with this person. Now it's going to be kind of embarrassing if he starts to date me. Can he even put a picture up of us, or is he going to take months to ever even make a statement? And sometimes they've even announced that they want to get married someday, or they talk about, hey, this is the love of my life or whatever, just kind of putting on a show. And I say that because a lot of the divine masculines have kind of made it look bigger than it is on social media, to kind of try to keep the old facade going, kind of really make a statement of, look, I am having a great time in my old life where I'm here comfortable, people. So, I don't know. There's a lot of things that go through the Divine Feminine's mind as she's watching her man be with somebody else, and it's not comfortable and it's not fun to go through. But it is important, and there is a purpose behind it, and we should be grateful for the karmic for everything that she's kind of training him for us. So, at the same time too, the masculine has to be aware that the karmic is not going to leave without a fight. A lot of times they'll even trap their masculine into getting pregnant, God forbid, and they will try to do anything, beg and plead and cry and manipulate and threaten, and they'll get you to co-sign on something for them or get you totally enmeshed with them to where it's like a trap, like quicksand. You feel like you can't get out. They just like imprison you. So the masculines got to be tough. They got to be resourceful. They got to get themselves out of it the safest way possible. That's fair, mostly and foremost to themselves and their divine feminine. So they need to think about that as they get out of the situation and realize they're also being pretty darn manipulated. If they can see through it, then that would help accelerate the process for sure. And there's just so many different situations out there. Yeah.
When we're talking about karmic relationships, are these relationships that are designed and maybe to clear up some past life issues or things that have happened to you prior to as a way of healing and growing from? Is that because my understanding of karma in general is that it's, you're working out stuff either in this life or in past lives that are part of that entire equation. Is this part of that?
Oh yeah. It's just lessons. I mean, we still have lessons with our divine counterpart, but it's more intense, and both people are more geared toward being selfish, I guess is the word. They're really out for their own benefit. At least the more feminine person is, let's see, the more masculine. Okay, that gets confusing. But let's just say that it's more based on superficiality, and it's more based on me, I want what I want. So yeah, that would be selfish. They get to play things out. Like, do I want to be a cheater? Do I want to be a drunk? Do I want to be totally codependent, making somebody else happy all the time while I am miserable? Do I want to be, whatever it is, throw it in there. So they get to explore with this person with who they truly are and who they truly want to be. By the time they figure that out and who they really are and their true authenticity as a person, as an individual, that's when they align with their counterpart.
Got it.
I know who I am, and I know what I want, and what I want is my feminine.
Got it.
It just takes a little while for them to get there.
Okay. I have another question for you, my dear, and that is, this comes from Sadie. And hi, everyone. I just found out about my twin flame connection. As it seems, I'm going through it with my recent ex. This has been very difficult as he's stuck in runner mode right now. Well, he's your ex. I guess that would mean he's running. Hoping that you can help me have some guidance around this issue. And this is for Sadie.
Okay, let me feel into what he went to this energy. Hang on a second. Interesting. Well, at first I was skeptical, thinking he probably isn't your twin flame, but I do see some indicators that he could be. So if he is, I wouldn't worry about him running. Actually, either way, because you don't want somebody who doesn't want you anyway. So if he's your karmic, let him run. Be glad he's gone. If he's your twin flame, he's not going to run forever. He's just going to run to figure something out, and then he'll be back. So either way, you're okay. And honestly, if this is a karmic person that's left your life, then it's time to celebrate, because it means that your true love is coming. So good riddance to anything that has taught you some lessons and you've moved on from. And if this is your twin, then you will not be able to, to get him off of your mind. You're going to see all kinds of signs and synchronicities and things. Whenever I really let my masculine go, and I'm like just kind of fed up and kind of like, I give up. This is, you do your thing, and I'm just going to live my life. And whenever I do that, I see license plates from his state, and I hear people you're talking about where he's from all around me, and I see, I know what that feels like. And so it will not leave you, and you can't leave the path no matter what you try or what you do. He'll pop in your dreams, and all kinds of things will happen. So don't be afraid to lose him. Even if you guys broke up, it just means that you guys have some maturing to do, and he will be back. And let me just feel when that might be. If he truly is your twin flame, let me see. Actually, it's kind of cute because I saw him making, acting like he's leaving and making a big circle and coming up behind you, so you didn't see him coming. So I think he is doing, I don't know what you would call that, but I think he doesn't want you to know that he still has hope in the relationship and that he wants to come back around and surprise you somehow in the back door. I don't know what that means, but please call me and tell me when you find this out, because I want to hear about it. It seems pretty cool. I mean, it seems like he's actually has it. It's almost as if he goes to leave and then has an epiphany or a realization. He's like, what the hell am I doing? And he goes running back. But for some reason, he doesn't want you to see him coming, so he surprises you. So let me feel more into that, because that's quite the place to leave you. Let's see. Hey, you're going to have a surprise. You just have no idea what's coming here. Let's see. I feel like you have an apology coming. I see him almost like begging and pleading. He's been confused. Oh, it's that darn worthiness thing again. What is it with this issue, man? Are you gonna look at a big hamburger and say, I'm sorry, I'm not worthy of that beautiful piece of meat? I'm just gonna, or
no pun intended.
No.
I know what you meant, but I know what it sounded like.
I mean, a diet's a diet, but come on. I mean, if you want to eat it. So it's like...
Okay, dig yourself out of this one.
Okay, all right, worthiness. Yeah, it's... Why? Isn't it sad? Just to think, if your best friend came to you and said, I'm so in love with this person, but I'm not worthy, what would you say? And why don't you treat yourself the same way as you would talk to that best friend? You'd be like, what are you doing? Especially if you could see, you guys, I see what's on the other side of it. I see the couples that have come into union, and I see the incredible things that happen, all the miracles that happen. And I see the promise of what happens eventually with these people as they go along too, and they just become stronger and stronger and work better and better together. And it's incredible. So if you only knew what was up ahead of you, you'd be running into it. You would waste no time whatsoever with this silly worthiness thing. And honestly, it's like I always say, and I repeat myself a lot with this, but this lack of worthiness. I mean, listen to Ben Jameson's talk about that a few episodes ago. It's incredible. But it all comes down to just a stupid thought. It's just a stupid thought. It's not true. Don't believe it. And instead, why not? I mean, what if you had amnesia and you couldn't believe that thought anymore? And you were placed before your divine feminine, and she's standing there and she's saying, I love you, let's go play at and have fun. What are you going to say? Well, you definitely wouldn't play that whole stupid worthiness story. You'd be like, yeah, let's go. And I feel like he's just feeling like, yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, I have a story about that. And if you could help me with this, I think this, because, see, something happened in my young 20s. I was like 20 years old. And it has haunted me for the balance of my life. And you just made me think about it again. And it was because, you see, I wasn't the man I am today then. So I didn't know what synchronicities were. I didn't know what any of these things were, these feelings and how things tend to work out. So let me tell you this little story. I was living in an apartment complex, and I went to pay my rent one day, and the manager said to me, you look like a strong young man. And I said, well, thank you very much. And she said, there's a girl that's moving, and she needs help moving. Would you help her? Turned out I had the day off, and I said, well, yeah, I'll go help somebody in need, I guess. And she doesn't have any money to pay you or anything. I said, that's not important. So I went to this lady's apartment. Turned out she was the most gorgeous green-haired beauty I had ever seen. I was stunned by this individual. And she seemed very nice. She was about my age. And so I helped her move during the course of that. And she was moving to another part of town. And I felt driven, at what I call driven now, to want to see her again. She was single. And to this day, I always think about her as being somebody that I could have had a great relationship with. But I mean to tell you, Amy, this child was gorgeous. She wasn't pretty. She wasn't nice. She was gorgeous in every way possible. And I missed that connection because I wasn't ready. So can you feel into that scenario and tell me, am I nuts? Or was that something, a true connection that I really missed because I wasn't ready?
That was a soulmate. That was a soulmate. And yeah, but not only were you not ready, she wasn't ready either. She was still really hooked on some other guy. She wouldn't have done it. She wouldn't have gone forward with you.
Aww.
So don't worry. I know. Or she might have gone forward with you and humored you for a little while and then just ditched you for this other person because she was like really in love with this other person.
Okay, so, I have another one for you. I have another one for you that has always just intrigued me.
And you know what? Anything.
Go ahead.
Well, anything that's meant to be will come back around. So don't worry. If she was we have several soulmates. It's not like we have a million of them. We have, maybe 8 to 15. And again, those come in forms of, they don't have to be like romantic relationships. They can be just about anything. But the twin flame, there's only one. Karmics, there's like an endless supply. So, but she's one of several that you could find. But if it's meant to be, you guys will cross paths again. So no worries.
Well, that was 40 years ago, so she could be passed on for all I know. But but it could be anything. But see, now there are people like me, Amy, that are in our lives have not had a ongoing or successful relationship. I think there are a lot of people in my boat that, I mean, I've had relationships, and all the way from a gal by the name of Lee to Jennifer, who I married. By the way, I would be curious to know, I spent 24 years with this woman. What was Jennifer to me? Was she a karmic? I don't think she was a soulmate, and she certainly wasn't a twin flame, so maybe she was a karmic, yes?
She was definitely a karmic. Definitely.
So why is it that I'm for whatever reason, I have never come across somebody that I would consider a twin flame, somebody that was so remarkable to me that was so remarkable.
Had a mystical adventure with.
Yes, exactly, and that's I never had that. Why is that? Am I just not destined for that? My phone.
You might want to get that. Hello.
Funny story about.
Here, put the phone here. I'll talk to them.
When I was doing Positive Talk Radio many years ago, they actually put a sign in the studio because I always left my cell phone on, and the sign read, "Please turn your cell phone off," because I always get a call in the middle of the show. So because I was just not that smart. But anyway, so there are people like me that have never run across their twin flame. Give people like me hope out there, would you?
Well, yeah. There's always a soulmate as backup. Hopefully, a soulmate that doesn't have a twin flame. But I feel like yours is alive. Otherwise, I would say that, for some of the people out there that haven't met theirs yet, it could be that they have passed away, unfortunately. But it could also just mean, some people meet their twin flame when they're 80, Maybe they met them when they were younger and didn't even know. But I think that at this time, too, though, that they're all being drawn together. So just be anticipating it any time. And the more you work on yourself and free yourself from any kind of victim mentality or any kind of dualistic thinking, the better off you're going to be in terms of you kind of meeting up with or attracting that person. So I just would try to, I'll give you the same advice I give those in separation. Just live your best life and be passionate. And don't block yourself from it. Be willing to have conversations with strangers. Don't be too guarded. And if you have some strong opinions about, because I have heard you say some things about how you are completely happy being by yourself and you really don't want a woman because she'd kind of mess things up for you. So kind of work on some of those beliefs and get to a place where you're welcoming of it. You don't have to have it, but you're welcoming of it, and maybe heal some of the hurts of your past relationships. I would definitely use the exercise, "Thank you, God, for my misery." That would be a really good thing for you to do, to just start at the top of the page. "Thank you, God, that I went through that miserable relationship with my ex-wife," and just list all the benefits and advantages as to why that's a good thing. And I would definitely write it down. Don't just think it, because thinking is cheating, and you end up cheating yourself out of some major epiphanies and awarenesses that come out when you're writing. And maybe even keep a journal or something like that of all these things that you're grateful for that happened in the past. But it's definitely all about healing. You're not going to be ready for that partner until you've healed those past hurts and you no longer feel defensive or upset about those things that have happened to you in the past.
Got it. Well, I appreciate that. And you're right.
Yeah.
I do need to write it down. I think it, but I do.
I know you tend to just want to, yeah, because I've heard you say that many times. I'll say, "Did you do that exercise?" And you'll be like, "Oh, I did. Well, yeah, I did it real quick in my head." And it's like, it doesn't do the same. It doesn't have the same effect. It's good because it gets you in a better place than you were in, but you'll really have some breakthroughs if you take the time to write it down. Plus, you're meditating. When you're writing it down, you're not in a rush. It's kind of like when you sit down to actually consciously eat a meal, it's so much healthier for you than if you're like on the go, shoving things in your mouth while you're running out the door. Same kind of thing. If you're sitting and consciously making an effort to do the exercise in a quiet setting, you'll get downloads. Downloads meaning messages from your spirit guides or God or whoever else is hanging around you that are trying to help develop you. They'll give you messages.
Yep, that's true. That's true. So I am just scrolling down through some of our folks to see if they go ahead.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, though. That's hard to put yourself out there like that. and you're right. There are people who are facing that right now, and they're like, well, why hasn't it happened for me? And this show is so magical, and there's so many beautiful things happening to so many people on this journey. So it'll happen in divine timing, just like it all does. And it's just as frustrating for those who've met theirs, because they have to sit and wait for it to happen. And both of them are eager. The masculine and the feminine are super eager to make it happen, but they've just got to trust in the timing of it all and let things play out like they're supposed to.
Very good. Could you explain the concept of mirroring, how that works?
Yes. Mirroring is basically based on it is a reflection. We're all reflecting each other. We all do that all the time. But taking it, projection is when you say, hey, that person is lying, and you're actually the one who's lying, either to yourself or you're actually lying to the other person, or you're lying to somebody else, some other third party. So we tend to have a sensitivity toward other people who are doing the same things we're doing, and it's designed that way to kind of point us back to what we're doing. So it's whenever you see yourself react to, I'm going to start here and go into it, how it is with twins, but generally speaking, if you're like, I can't believe that person did that, I would never do that. If you find yourself saying those words, it means that you have an issue with that, whatever that is. It doesn't even matter the topic. It means that you need to take a look at whatever that is that you're accusing them of, and you take a look at how you're either doing that to yourself or you're doing that to someone else in some other way. But you have to have a certain level of self-awareness to be able to catch that statement. A lot of people are kind of like on autopilot in a negative way, in the sense that they just automatically think and judge and spew these things out of their mouths, and they judge others, and they don't even care to think about how they're actually talking about themselves. So when you have that kind of self-awareness where you can catch yourself and say, now what? It can kind of become like a fun game if you take it lightheartedly. But it's good to be able to, because we're all going to feel all these different things. But if we can play it like a game and say, ooh, that means that I'm doing this in some way. Ooh, that means that I'm hiding something. Ooh, that means that I'm this. Then you can take a look at that and have a good laugh and say, oh my gosh, I totally was. I was fooling myself about this, or I was really wanting that. And it really accelerates you along on your journey and helps you to get ahead, and it helps kind of break the floodgates open for you in terms of possibility, and you start becoming freer and freer all the time the more things that you're able to realize like that. And in the twin flame journey, also watch what you're saying about your partner. And if you're like, I don't know why he won't get over his fears, then you got to look at what are fears that you still have going on that you haven't faced yet. It's just a reflection of you, because especially with your twin flame, they mirror you. And there's also a teeter-totter kind of effect of, if you're super in your feminine side or your masculine side, then you've just thrown them into the opposite side. So if you're being too, if you're like, if you're being too extreme in some way, like if you're totally obsessed with this person, you think about them nonstop and you can't get away from thinking about them, and you're just nonstop doing whatever you're doing, thinking about them, you're pushing them away. And they're like thinking about you less, and I mean they're still going to think about you, but they're like not wanting anything to do with it. They can feel that energetically. But if you lay off and you have some trust that the universe is working things out, and you kind of lay back and you're just like, yeah, well, it'll happen when it happens, or if it does, or you just have an open mind and you just like, okay, just go with the flow of it. And then they kind of perk up and wake up and they're like, So you have to kind of dance with each other's energy in that way and be conscious of what you're saying and what you're thinking about your twin, and especially any kind of judgments, because that's really pointing back to you, and not in a judgmental way, not like you shouldn't feel that way, but it's more so you can be aware of that issue and work on it and release it. So if you're not able to forgive them for something, that means that you're not able to forgive you for what you feel you did to ruin the whole thing. So that's where you become empowered, is when you're actually able to see yourself and what you're doing. And the whole idea is to keep your focus on you. Keep your focus on what you can do. Keep your focus on what you're judging, what you're, not forgiving and whatnot, and heal that within you. And that will bring your partner closer. And it'll also create that space for them to walk into your life. If they feel like you're open-hearted and receptive and forgiving, and they can feel your love for yourself, your acceptance of yourself, your own self-awareness. If they feel like you're in that sweet, soft spot, then you're going to definitely be more approachable for them. And they can definitely feel energetically if you are judging them and you're not forgiving them, and you're sitting there with your hands on your hips, tapping your toes. Don't do that, and don't do that to yourself, and don't do that to him. Just get in a better space. But that's what it's about. Whatever you're saying, whatever you're doing, whatever you're thinking about your twin is about you.
I get it. So when you get mad at somebody, it really is something that you do that you're really getting mad at. That really has nothing to do with the other person, right?
Exactly. That's why you can't ever take it personally when somebody ever gets upset with you, because it's really their own issue they're dealing with. Have you ever noticed, like, there could be 5 different people that walk into a public place, but each different person who's hanging out, like say there's you and your friend are hanging out in a tea shop and 10 people walk by. You will make a comment about one of them. Your friend is going to make a comment about somebody totally different. Why? Because you get triggered by somebody who is showing you something about yourself. The other person's getting triggered by somebody else who's pointing something out about themselves. Otherwise, you guys would be pointing to other people. Does that make sense? Or like Some people have no issue with smoking whatsoever. They've always been around people who smoke. They don't even care if people smoke or don't smoke. They don't mind smoke breath, any of that, and they just could care less. But somebody else maybe has struggled with smoking. Maybe they used to smoke and they don't anymore. Or maybe they have felt like if I do smoke, then I'm a loser. Or maybe they've thought if I do smoke, I'm really cool. But now I don't smoke anymore because I quit because it was bad for my health or my spouse told me not to. So you have some kind of an issue with cigarettes. Or it could even be a general thing of doing something that could ruffle people's feathers even, So it could be a general thing like that. And here comes this person with a mohawk or with a cigarette in their hand, and it's going to trigger you because it's still left unhealed in you. You haven't addressed the issue. So it's a great opportunity when you see somebody who quote unquote triggers you to take a look at yourself and see what that's truly about. How can I heal me around that issue? It doesn't have anything to do with that other person.
Right. And that's sometimes that's hard for us to get through, but once you understand that, it becomes a whole lot easier, and you'll find that you're not getting angry nearly as much as you used to.
Exactly. And then the next time after you've worked, Exactly. And then the next time somebody walks by with a cigarette, you may not even notice them or even care.
Exactly.
And that's when you know that you're really growing, is when you don't, when other people might make kind of snide comments about somebody and you just kind of look at them like, what are you talking about?
Exactly.
Whereas before you know that you would have reacted, but in this, because you've healed around it, you're just kind of like, not so much. It's not like you're judging the person who's making the snide comment either, but you're just it's kind of like somebody, I don't know, burped or something. I don't know, something that doesn't trigger you, but just kind of makes you go, okay.
Okay, so it's gum popping. It's that triggers me, and that comes from my past. I get it. It comes from my mom, but that triggers me every time if somebody's popping gum. It's just like I want to choke them, but that's just me.
So
go ahead.
That could represent something else, though. That may not. Sometimes people make it too specific. Well, I don't have an issue with gum popping necessarily, but maybe it's about having a voice, saying whatever you want, however you want, right? Because if you're gum popping, you're not really caring if anybody hears it. You're just happy to snap your gum. So maybe you do have an issue of I have to say certain things in an appropriate way when I'm around people. Otherwise, it's not okay. So gum popping is just a little...
That's very insightful of you. Because honestly, I do have a problem with people being inconsiderate of other people.
Aha.
And
Exactly.
when somebody is popping their gum, they don't give a rat's ass what anybody else thinks. And that annoys me.
Yeah. So then now that you have that awareness, now you can practice not caring what people think. Like, just experiment with it and be in the break room sometime or be around people and go, la, 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 do, 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 do. Do something totally almost obnoxious.
I'm not a la, la, la kind of guy, I'm afraid, but,
Well, think of something that you can do that you feel is inappropriate in a certain situation and do it and see that nobody cared. That's when you start to go, it was all in my head.
That would be a really interesting experiment. If you're walking into a room and belched really loud and nobody looks at you, it's kind of like, oh, that wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
I'm free.
I'm free. I can burp anytime I like now.
Yeah. And then when you know that you can, you won't. That's the cool thing.
Exactly.
You become liberated. It's like just with cheating. It's like, you know that you can, but you don't. Because you don't want to. Because you don't want the consequence. That's all.
Right.
We're capable and we can lie if we want to. We know that, and we're okay with lying if we need to, but we don't need to because it's okay. It's like you're running away from your shadow in a sense when you think that certain things are not allowed or you can't. And then you just, live your life pointing fingers at everybody who's doing that. It's like, how dare you? What are you doing? I can't do that. You can't do that. Hell no, are you going to do that if I can't do that? Just be okay with the fact that you can do it. And then you won't, or you can make your choice.
Exactly. I'd like to, as we close this podcast, I'd like to read a couple of responses that we got to yesterday's show, if that would be all right. And the first one comes from Monique. Thank you for another Straight to the Heart show. I learn more every time. And I'm learning more every time about myself and about the community that we are building together. I love that because I feel like we are building a community.
Yeah.
And to close, Suzanne writes, I want to thank Amy, Kevin, and Matt for an amazing show and letting me be a part of such an amazing group of people. Your closing prayer, I have no idea what you said on a conscious level, but whatever it was, you made me cry. And it's all good. I feel at peace with the union of my twin flame and myself coming up within the next few months. You definitely lifted my vibration. My twin flame sends me sent me a text within minutes of being off the phone. The song posted on the show is a song I've heard several times since my twin flame and I started dating, even during separation. So his higher self is always there, no matter what. Thank you again. Love and light to all of you. That's a wonderful validation.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Beautiful. Does Amy have any closing words to close this podcast? By the way, go to amysatori.com, go to thesatoryshow.com, and go to thesatoryshow.podbean.com, and you can listen to the podcast. You can get an appointment with Amy. You can do all of that on any of those. Well, 2 of the 3. So, but talk to Amy, please. She'll rock your world. She really will. So, Amy, anything you'd like to add before we close?
Just relax, let go, and have fun. And always know that fear isn't real.
And forever trust in who you really are. And nothing else matters. We'll see you next time on The Satori Show. You've been listening to The Satori Show. Please visit Amy's website, www.amysatori.com, to find out more about this incredible talent. The views expressed during this podcast are those of the host, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of management or the owners of this podcast. What you need to know is that Amy is a wonderful teacher, guide, and communicator for the unseen world. What she does not pretend to be is a doctor, fortune teller, seer of world events, or predictor of what is to come. What Amy presents is real, based on her understanding of the world and communication with that unseen world. As always, you're free to decide for yourself as to what to believe. Regardless, we love and accept you completely just as you are. And thanks again for listening to The Satori Show.